Get Into Gate, this is episode 31. We are talking secrets. I'm going to be honest, boys, I forget how to do this. It's been a couple of weeks. Let's just get the cobwebs out of the way. Welcome back, Get Into Gate. We're talking nothing but Stargate SG-1, the full Get Into Gate team here. My name is Mitch. Joining me as always, Matty Gibson,
Yo.
Brennan Gibson,
Yella.
and Rhys Gibson.
Hello.
All the Gibsons, a full house of Gibsons.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Lonely Lewis behind the button, so don't piss me off, boys. I'll shut you down. I'll shut you down right now, okay?
Just like the show.
Wow.
Yeah, just like the show for 2 weeks. Okay, yeah.
I have the power!
It is. It was my bad. Look, scheduling issues. It's a bit tough sometimes to get in here once a week, and we've done pretty well over our 31 weeks to get in here every
Except
weekend.
for that 2 months when
Except for that
happened.
2 months. Look, that was very early. Anyone that's listening to us recently, they don't know about that. They're just going back through the podcast. It looks like we were there every week. So thank you for those who have actually contacted us. I think Facebook Messenger, we had a couple of people get through and say, what's doing, boys? I'm about to give up on the show. They didn't say that at all, but thank you for inquiring. We're here. We're getting it done. Stargate Sundays is back. And we're talking about one that I don't know whether we've spoken about it much on the show, but definitely off air. For Rhys, who is new to the show, watching it for the first time, you two boys in particular, Maddie and Brendan, have been saying, get ready for secrets, and we want you to film your reaction to the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was the challenge we set you.
So let me just
last
read what
episode.
this is about, according to the DVD case. And Rhys, I want to just get right into your thoughts, because for me too, having not watched this in about 10 years, I was wondering what the big deal was with you guys. Then when I watched the first 5, and I'm like, oh yeah, shit, this is that episode. This is going to be good. So according to the DVD, this is why it's so good. The entire Stargate project is imperiled when a reporter threatens to expose the mysteries of the top secret portal. O'Neill attempts to stop him while the rest of the team tries to save Jackson's wife, who has been impregnated with a Goa'uld. Is this the end of Stargate? Dun,
Jeez,
dun,
you would
dun.
not want to read that prior to watching it,
No.
because that basically ruins that whole opening.
Especially for a show called Secrets. They blow it all in the blur.
Yeah.
So, Rhys.
Yeah, who else blew it? Apophis.
Oh, right in the blurb.
I feel like to get where they at, Aminette probably blew it as well. You know what I mean?
Actually, I was going to say, I know that we are running 2 weeks late, but when we initially were going to get together to record this a fortnight ago, my first thought was, wow, this is actually a very timely week to be talking about this episode, Aminette, because that's actually the name of the mummy character in the Tom Cruise movie that's in cinemas at the moment. And so when I'm watching that movie, I didn't think I'd ever heard of the term Aminette before, but again, I haven't seen this episode in about 10 years. And yeah, she's a bit of an evil bitch hanging around with Apophis. But Rhys, watching this for the first time and knowing we put a lot of pressure on this episode, what did you think? Did it blow your mind?
Well, yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting that. As soon as she came on screen, I'm looking at her like, I'm sure that's her, but it can't be her. I was so confused. Like, what's going on here? Why isn't she killing people? And then, yeah, when she's like, oh, I'm pregnant and blah, blah, blah.
Husband.
Husband.
I've got the baby into me. I don't know why I'm Italian.
What's your female Mario?
Spent my summer in Italy.
It's me, Mario.
It's not a baby, it's a pasta baby.
I made you a pizza pie.
Wow.
Why is she Italian? But then I got a little bit pissed off because she's been pregnant for how many months?
Yeah.
And they've only just contacted Daniel to say, oi, by the way,
Yeah, she's
can
here.
you come out here?
Well, he said open it in a year, so he's just following orders. Old what's his name? Good father.
Kazoof.
Yeah, right, okay.
But yeah, you would go, hang on, she's back. How did she get back? Did she come back in a ship?
Well, that's what
Should
I'm
have
trying
had
to
to
figure
have.
out. Yeah, if the gate wasn't there to be... Oh, maybe that's why Apophis hid her away there. Because
Yeah.
they'd buried the gate, so he knew that none of his enemies could go there easily. They'd have to go there by
I
ship.
guess that's why Hera were. Did he? Oh, he
Hera
came
were
through the
rocked up.
gate. No, he was this ship.
No, he had the ship,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
then he ringed in at the end.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But then didn't
Apophis
Apophis's men, they
at the
came
end.
They came
in
through the gate.
at the end.
Yeah.
Well, they never teased the fact that maybe this was an underlying motive of his, that maybe sending her there would draw SG-1 out. But then again, that you're really hoping for a lot of stars to align that, well, I'm going to put her there, even though the Stargate isn't open, they're going to somehow contact each other to get through, which will unearth the Stargate for me to shoot through at the end. Like, you're right, I didn't actually think about that until now. But
Maybe Apophis thought it had been destroyed or something like that, the gate, because he could never, he hasn't been there since Ra, or no one has.
Yeah, I don't think he was going to try and draw out SG-1 because really I think the host that he's trying to produce by inseminating Sha're, I don't think he'd want SG1 anywhere near that.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's too big of a risk.
You know, the biggest issue I had with this episode was when the baby came and Sha're turned back into the Goa'uld. Teal'c took Daniel as a prisoner dressed up in the serpent gear. Oh, sorry, Heroer's
Horus Guard.
And took him to the gate. I'm like, what was the plan there? He's like, oh, I've captured this one. And then all of a sudden, the only good thing was that Apophis rocked up.
Yeah.
Like that, I'm like, that can't be the part of the plan.
Yeah. It got good by getting us so much worse. Yeah. That whole situation.
Yeah. Maybe he just planned on being like, okay, I'll take this prisoner back through the Stargate, and then punches in Earth's address and
Yeah, maybe.
pops on through.
Oh, it'd be weird though for Teal'c as this random Horus Guard to go up to Harriman and go, yeah, I'm just going to take him back, boss. Yeah, no worries, you can go back through. I trust you. Who are you again? What? I can't hear you over the wormhole. Straight in.
Rhys, did you spot that pretty quickly? Like that Teal'c was actually the one in the Horus Guard
Yeah, I knew
helmet?
as soon as he come into where Daniel and Sha're were. I was like, yeah, that's definitely Teal'c. Because they didn't show who got shot.
Yeah, they showed the close up of the Zat, which is you'll see that 25,000 times.
I tell you what, they actually had some good visual effects on the Horus Guard helmets that are going down, because you go from the film where it was all CGI, whatever, it completely disappeared into their suit. From the pilot onwards, the Serpent Guard thing barely opens enough for the guards to actually see out.
Bucket with a rusty hinge.
Yeah. Whereas these guys have got a bit better tech. Harrower takes after his guards a bit better, maybe.
And I think we mentioned this in Thor's Chariot. I kind of do have a soft spot for Harrower, and I think that's one of the reasons as well. Is I feel like he's got the most badass looking guards. Like I just love the Horus, and the way they do retract like that, and the way the little heads can actually sort of turn.
Yeah.
In the top there as well. I don't know. I really like them.
It's such a good story episode. Like we've had a couple of standalones this season so far, but like this one, it's probably one of the top 3 story episodes I want to say so far. Like this episode ended, and I'm like, this might be my favorite episode so far, or at least top 3 episodes so far of the entire series. It's a fucking awesome episode.
Yeah, and you look, and you think about, without giving away for Rhys, but you think about where this leads in terms of what the threads that are left behind. And I feel like this is the first time there's been an episode where there's literally 2 completely separate A and B plots. Like sometimes we have an A and a B plot that sort of wedge tail and come together at the end or something like that. Yeah. But really, A plot and B plot have nothing to do with each other. It just happens that Sam and Jack's sort of storyline kind of wraps up. And they're like, okay, we'll go and see what Teal'c and Daniel are doing, and they just happen to walk in, to the climactic battle at the end.
Yeah. I think the O'Neill and Carter storyline, well, not even that's even 2 stories in itself. You got with Carter and her old man, and then O'Neill and the journo. But maybe it excelled because of how little screen time they gave to it. But just watching it and enjoying everything in that 42 minutes, I was there thinking, wow, this episode has essentially 2, an Earth-based story and an off-world-based story put together, and they almost feel like they could be entire episodes to themselves. When you look at the end of last season, I'm not just having a go at you, mate, but like you really like politics, and we said in the episode after that,
shut up,
what an idiot.
We said in the episode that followed politics that politics probably could have been a 15-minute intro to what the season finale became, which would have been what this episode is. Bit of on-world stuff, bit of political stuff, and then some off-world action. This was that, and I kind of feel like they could have maybe branched off. But then again, in the alternative world, we do get that as 2 episodes. Maybe the political side of thing, the Carter father storyline just really drags on. So I think the pacing of this episode is probably my favorite thing about it. Just how much they touch on each story, like you said, before they go to the other side of the episode, and you're catching up with that storyline. You're never getting sick of one, but you're never left wanting for the other one at the same time.
I actually forgot that the whole Carter and Jacob Carter introduction, I thought that was part of Tok'ra for whatever reason. Until I came back and watched this. I'm like, oh yeah, this... Because I just thought this was a desert fucking planet episode, boring. But going back, there's so many different things coming together in this.
So many threads set up.
Yeah, it's like,
but still a kind of satisfying ending. It's not like you're left hanging going, what the f*** was that?
Yeah.
Like you get a good resolution for the most part, but then it's like any one of these particular threads we can follow in the next episode or in a year's time or whatever it may be. we've touched base with this Sha're, so we're still, going to be on the hunt for her. But now she's got this baby out there hidden somewhere.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've introduced Jacob, which is going to be sort of a big thing later on.
I think rewatching it again, I became quite emotional, especially with Daniel's reaction. Just being your first time, Rhys, were you pissed off at Daniel, or you could understand his emotion? Cause
yeah, that's what I was thinking, because what I liked about that very scene was that he was getting so passionate about it, and just like, yeah, this is the first time I've seen my wife, and she's my wife. She's not the Goa'uld. And then I'm just learning that in a couple of days she's going to be taken from me. And then Teal'c coming in and saying, we should take her back with us. We can learn a lot from her. And then him going, no, I want to protect her. And then also the awesomeness of I think this is the first time we've seen Teal'c really step out from being sort of like a soldier of the team to come up and say, hey, you're being selfish, like pull your head in.
Yeah.
Your missus is going to go into a worse life if we don't do something about it. So,
yeah.
And then
because Daniel's like, what? Took offense to him having an opinion about it, being the guy that actually put her in that position.
Yeah, and it's almost like Daniel was playing this sort of petty, almost like jealousy. Like he was jealous that Apophis put a baby in his wife.
Yeah,
but it's like, it's not like she was complicit in the act.
Nah.
She wasn't even
It was
conscious
basically a rape.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
But you're right, Teal'c, like he was somehow, like in an instant, was able to think both with his head, thinking about what they can learn, and with his heart, thinking for Daniel. Like, and he nailed it. Like I've got that written down as a note. It was a great disagreement between Teal'c and Daniel when they go out there and they have a couple of blues. And I feel for Daniel and everything he's going for, but I also sympathise with Teal'c. And so, as an audience member, when you can sit there and watch both sides of an argument and completely side with one of them at any given time, is fantastic.
And the irony that if he hadn't gone off in a huff for 10 minutes, they could have gotten Sha're through the wormhole,
I know, that's
safe back to
the
Earth.
annoying thing.
No issue whatsoever.
If Goodfather had have unburied the gate a month earlier, she's been here for months. Thanks, Goodfather. You're a f***ing idiot.
Thanks, Luigi.
I tell you what, though.
But the note I had for that was Daniel and Teal'c talk tactics versus emotion. Teal'c wins. That's what that's how it summed up. But it was beautiful. It was a beautiful scene.
Yeah, I like that. For me, that's really the first time that we see Teal'c actually be a part of the team and have his own sort of ideas on what we should do and the plans of going forward, rather than just being there, being the muscle. And sort of just doing it as he's
Because in a way, it's almost like he's the lowest ranked of the team. Because obviously Jack's in charge, Sam's second in charge because they're both the military.
Yeah.
Daniel is always the ethical centre in terms of he always puts his opposing opinion to Jack forward. So there's always that back and forth with them. And then at the end, kind of Teal'c just does whatever he's told. So, this being that Jack and Sam weren't there, he was able to assert himself as a leader.
Yeah.
I mean, he was first
He's like,
prime.
Daniel, you're the bitch now.
Yeah, so he was first prime.
I am the alpha.
And, yes, Daniel lived on Abydos for a year, but, Teal'c knows the Jafar better, so he knows what they're going to do. So it was perfect for him. He was able to just sort of, take out the Jafar he needed to and assert his dominance and be like, dude, just...
Yeah. Get on with it.
Daniel Jackson, you are getting too emotional.
What?
How dare you? Actually, talking about Kasuf, does anyone think he's got a hidden English tutor on the planet? Because I know that Daniel lived with him for a year.
Freaking amazing.
But he also hasn't lived there for the last year, where it's just people speaking their native tongue. And he speaks so much better English. This off air, behind the scenes, everyone... Oh, we can't deal with this anymore. Just Eric Avari is his name.
That's him.
Look, mate, just bugger it. Okay,
Talk normal.
He's one of only
throw your tongue around a couple of times in a sentence, we'll be fine.
one of only two actors to come back from the film.
Yeah.
He and Skara were both in the film, and they're the only ones to bring back.
Yeah.
And on the other side, Rhys, how did you think that was going to go? Because it's not like they built up, what was going to be this, big climax. What's O'Neill going to find out from this guy stalking him? It was the first time they met. It's like, oh, hey. How's that Stargate going? It's like, what? Oh, yeah, you just heard the word or whatever. He's like, Stargate, all these people that work with you, go to these worlds. Like, he knew fucking everything about the program. Yeah. Where do you think that episode was going to end? Because that was like the first third of the episode. We find that out. It's like...
My first thought was, f***ing Walter.
He's down the pub after a couple, just telling stories.
Talking to a journo.
After that,
they sacked me from the day shift and...
They got Sarah Silverman in, and I didn't have a job.
Now, promise me one thing, Graham. You're not going to tell anyone about this, are you, Graham? Graham?
But yeah, I didn't really know whether to take him seriously or not. And then when he started coming out with all these facts, and I love how O'Neill just dealt with it, like
perfect reactions.
I don't know what you're
so
talking
good.
about, man. And then
like you could write that script, but only RDA could nail that the way that he did. It was very kind of nonchalant.
Whatever. It was very for me it brought out his experience in his role about keeping secrecy to the missions and how good he is at doing that, and really added to his character, I think, as well. Yeah,
you got to give credit to the writer in that scene. You're right, Brendan. Terry Curtis Fox, who wrote the episode, like he can sit there and write what would be an appropriate answer if you're denying it.
Yeah.
But then go, okay, I've got to write this for Jack O'Neill as spoken by Richard Dean Anderson. But then you've actually got to write that and then let Richard Dean Anderson look at that script and then do his own take on what is already a take on him.
Yeah.
And for still to come out like that, like you're right, it was the only thing he could say, but at the same time, it was completely believable, even though we know he's lying through his teeth.
He was actually the director, though, Terry Curtis Fox. Dwayne Clark was the writer.
Good on you. Let him...
I've got the opposite written here.
Oh,
so
really?
I don't know.
Oh, is that on the back of the cover?
Way around. Oh, yeah, maybe it is. Because I did have notes here saying Terry Curtis Fox...
Were you playing the Stargate drinking game?
Also did prison. Oh, okay. Hold on to that thought. We'll finish this up. I do have... Terry Curtis Fox was involved in Prisoners as well, and he actually wrote Prisoners. So...
I like that.
So it makes sense that he writes this as well.
Let's hope that they don't switch around too much in the back of this DVD cover, because Bane, the next week... It says written by Robert C. Cooper. That might mean that he directed it. It's a whole other can of worms we don't need to get into.
Yeah.
Now, back to your drinking game. I do have a drinking game everyone can play. If you haven't watched this episode, it's every time a certain word is said, drink.
Daniel, you said you'd go back there in a year with Sha're.
Sha're. Sha're. Sha're. Sha're. Sha're. Sha're.
Sorry.
Sha're. 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 Sha're.
What? Fate.
Now, I wasn't counting then. How many times has that spoken?
I didn't count. I don't.
I lost count after my sixth shot.
Do you know how long that took to edit up? I mean, I wasn't going to count them. I was just going to make sure they were all there.
That's awesome.
But yeah, going back to that reporter, when O'Neill came back in and started telling Hammond about it, I'm like, I thought to myself, man, this is like this is a massive secret. The government have to kill him or something. And
right.
Yeah. And
here's
next minute.
Yeah.
Well, here's the open question in the room. Do we think Hammond was involved in it?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Whoa.
No question.
Oh, wow.
No question.
Well, that's interesting because, Maddie said that it took you, 3 seasons to really come around to Hammond? Obviously, you're a long-term fan. You've seen this years ago. Rhys, you only know Hammond up until this point. You just went, no, I only know him.
Mate,
Be better. That's all I can say.
He would have. As soon as Hammond found out, he would have got on that bat phone, and the president would have said, "Oi, take him out, man." And so Hammond jumped in the car, hit him, drove off, ran back around. Jack, it was an accident.
No, and then told this glorious story.
He's got great hands. He can really snap the jab. And he was getting off all night. So he cut him with 3 good ones. Then he feinted with his right. He came in with a left hook and a right cross. And the guy was down.
That just sounds vaguely sexual to me. I don't know. Am I doing sex wrong if that sounds...
God, he was. What did he say? He's getting him off all night.
But the thing was, the guy that he was talking to was just an extra. So he didn't have a line. So he's just nodding.
Just ad lib here.
And then O'Neill comes in and is like, sir, and he's like, excuse me. And then he just fucking beelined it for the bar, that guy. He was like, thank Christ that is over. That was a horrible story. I don't even know what fight he was talking about.
It's like I don't even watch boxing. Yeah.
And then at the end, when he's Hammond's presenting them with the medals, he looks at O'Neill and he goes, "It was an accident." Like, just wink, wink. It was okay if anyone asks.
Do you reckon there was enough time for them to actually do that, though?
Oh, they'd have someone waiting on every corner,
But
mate.
it's like...
You've seen
It's in Washington.
Have you seen the Bourne Identity?
Take
If
him
they
out,
find
take him
out,
out.
they send a text message and just 100 people across the city get we need the assets in action.
Yeah, but they were there for a celebration. They were supposed to be giving these
So
guys
they have
some
more
medals.
bodies on the ground.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Yes, I just thought it's
Absolutely,
literally like
they do.
Jensen, where are you? I'm just around the corner. I'm buying something for my daughter. No, you got to go kill a man in a car. Get in your sedan.
Jack goes.
It's double time.
Jack goes and tells Hammond about it, and Hammond goes, "Okay, we need to find out more about what he knows." So
Yeah.
Jack then goes outside and sits on the bench, and the guy comes and sits next to him. They have a 2-minute conversation, and he walks down the stairs and gets hit by a car, dead. So I
Not,
just
not
don't...
before he goes, you did this. You
asshole.
You asshole. It wasn't me.
Hammond just said, "Oh, okay, go find more out about him," so that O'Neill would rack off, and then he's straight on the bat
No,
phone.
I don't believe it.
There is another.
Straight on the bat phone.
Because Hammond would have been like, if he knows the word Stargate, he's dead.
You don't reckon it was Mayborn,
Kinsey.
Kinsey,
How would he know?
Yeah, how would anybody know? Because really, it's like this reporter has
Jack
only
knows.
spoken to Jack. Jack went straight from the reporter to Hammond.
Unless Walter called up Kinsey and said, "Oh, I was drunk last night.
Yeah, I might have told this guy the whole Stargate story.
I was trying to impress a girl, and there was this reporter next to me. It's a bit of a blur."
I'm sorry. I lost my diary. Okay, I lost my diary. Before he did die, like just before he died, it was a great meta line from O'Neill, and he walks away. He's like, "Look, okay, if you're going to print this, can I just ask that you make one thing correct? O'Neill with 2 L's.
Yeah,
There's another Colonel O'Neill out there with 1 L, and he has no sense of humour." Bang, Kurt Russell. I think you're funny, but O'Neill's probably got you.
Yeah,
O'Neill
yeah.
with 2 L's.
Yeah.
And I love the other line where Sam introduced him to her dad. He goes, Sam's dad. I've heard nothing about you.
General? Captain? General? Waiter?
Yeah, that's the best. Waiter? You say how much you admired Jack after how he answered those questions. I admired him going, "You know what? Fuck this party. I'm off to the bar."
Like he just got there.
Separate pub.
Yeah, true.
Like it wasn't even the bar of that
Yeah.
of that party. It was like down the road.
Yeah, he just wanted to go and parade his uniform.
That's what I think. He's
Yeah.
going to stand out though.
Hey,
He's like,
ladies.
I'm going to go
Any
somewhere
girls
quiet.
here?
Yeah, cool. Great.
Oh no,
call.
it's 10 a.m.
Just starting work.
Now, I do have a bit of trivia for you, Rhys, this you may not know. I think we spoke about it in some of the early episodes, that Daniel, like Michael Shanks and the actress who plays Sha're, at the time were actually together in real life. So-
right.
Vitae
Oh, yeah.
Bandera is actually pregnant in real life. That's actually Daniel's baby in the
Get the f*** out.
in her belly, not in the actual. I don't think the actual
No,
born
it's
baby.
Apophysis, baby. We've been through this.
But the actual,
yeah.
like
The
she
actor
is,
that plays-
belly.
she is actually the belly is
Wow.
actually Daniel's baby.
They had a kid, didn't they?
Yeah,
That's what you're
yeah. So
saying?
that's
Yeah.
actually they have a daughter. I forget.
Oh yeah.
I forget what her
Her
name
name's
is.
Lamb.
What?
Lamb Shanks.
Wow.
Oh my god, it is Hollywood. It could be anything.
Wow.
See, I had to remove myself from the show yet. I'm like, Lamb Jackson? What is that?
I was going like in universe. I was going because isn't there's a chick that comes into like season 9 or 10 who's Daniel's real life wife at the time?
Doig,
Yeah, and doesn't she play like Dr. Lamb or something?
Oh
That's where my head
no,
went.
she totally does.
Yeah, so she's Lamb Shanks.
There you go,
She'll be
Lamb
Lamb
Shanks.
Shanks as well.
Get that in here.
Wowzers.
Get him in here. It's Australia Day.
But yeah, so that's Daniel's baby in there.
Oh,
But
that's incredible. That's actually
Yeah,
that's
that's pretty
good
cool.
trivia.
they don't actually end up staying together. Oh, well, I don't know. Like they obviously split up at some point. I don't know how amicable it was or any of that sort of stuff. So yeah, don't expect to see too much more of Sha're, given that in real life they're not actually together anymore.
At least not that actress.
I think-
It's like,
yeah.
See you later.
The other thing I was going to say, when not O'Neill, bloody Jackson finds out that his missus is pregnant and gets all pissed off that it's not his baby, and I'm like, hang on, mate. You've been fucking bitches on every single world you've been to, and
Not to
you're
mention-
upset because she gets when she's a Goa'uld.
Not to mention he lived with her on Abydos for a year. No TV, no books, no
Yeah.
what were they doing on Abydos
Yeah.
for a year that he couldn't knock her up?
Yeah, exactly.
Like he had his chance.
Mining Naquita. That's what they were doing.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Right in
That's
the
what we're
blurb.
calling it.
It seems like it's a bitsy review that we're doing because it is a episode of two halves. Not to go all sporty on it, but it is an episode of two halves where
Yeah,
both
both
of
teams
us-
gave it 110%.
absolutely they did.
Everyone was moving forward at the right pace. The Team worked well together.
Yeah.
That car was offside though.
Yeah.
Way offside.
He got smashed that one.
Good. That's a pretty good one.
I feel like that's pretty good for me in terms of a sporting joke. I mean, that was, I thought I was going to get bigger reaction than that, but no, that's fine.
Well, I mean, once that guy went down, that was his night over. So he was
Concussion rule.
We won't see him again tonight. The big fella. So, Suez, if you're outside of the eastern coast of Australia, it was
They
Origin
have that
week
in
this
the
week.
NFL as well.
That's
so
true.
okay.
That's true.
How good O'Neill remembered the little rule that he learnt from the Knox when old mate put his shield up and he couldn't shoot through it.
So he pulled the
Grabs his
out
knife and he's like, boom, straight through his hand.
Suck
was
on that,
awesome.
Harriman.
and then Carter tech about it, and he's like, yeah, that's totally what I meant to
Yeah,
do.
whatever. Just threw the knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good
That was
throwback.
good. Although, I think it might have been when Teal'c was taking the baby away from Amanette, like after she'd given birth, she was lying there, and he zatted her. He zatted her with a closed zat again.
I see.
He
I
does
didn't-
that so often.
Okay,
did it to
I
his
didn't
son.
notice that. Right, I've got written down though that, and it was the first one I've noticed watching it live. Start to finish. None have you guys bring it up when he revealed himself in the Stargate room, and he turned around and he shot. Or at least he shot, and then you saw the effect. It hit somebody or whatever. It cut back to Teal'c, and of course it was open then. But we're 2 in an episode. That's crazy. At least 2, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I do want to get a sense of the room. We need to award who had the worst headdress. Was it Apophis or was it Amanette?
Oh,
That had. We had Apophis with the 2 big gold discs on the side of his head, and then we had Amanette with that pearl necklace. Oh,
Careful.
Like the snake made out of pearls or whatever. it was,
You're
with
digging
that
yourself
terrible...
a bigger hole there.
No, I'll give my vote to Apophis. He looked
Yeah.
ridiculous when
Yeah,
he came
that
out.
was-
I'm like, if this is a guy, again, we haven't seen him in how many episodes.
Which, literally, the previous episode that we've done was family.
It's been a while.
I did have. There's no Walter in this episode, but speaking of him, I had a little bit of trivia that I found. Sergeant Walter Harriman is loosely based on Walter, as in Radar Riley from the 1972 series MASH.
Yeah.
Throughout the series, we see Walter display his many radar-like qualities, particularly his ability to respond to requests of his superiors before even being asked.
Yeah, they don't really do that until probably season 8 is when you see it the most.
Yeah. Coincidentally, though, both characters are also portrayed by actors named Gary.
Wow.
Gary Jones and Gary Berghoff.
Oh, there you go.
I'll tell you what,
I was
maybe.
like, no way.
So we've covered the Daniel Sha're side of things. There was the O'Neill. The Carter, though, stuff, Rhys. Her father gets introduced, and I guess he's not like
what a dickhead he is.
There you go.
Thank you, yes.
Yeah. One episode in.
Well
What do you think
Couldn't
of Jacob?
stand him. I wanted to punch him in the throat. What an idiot.
Did he win you back there when he revealed all of his actions and intentions have come from this sort of this being a die man? It's his die man's wish.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. He's just trying to look after his daughter, and she's like, oh, thanks. Oh, you've got cancer. That sucks. And he's like, yeah, well, enjoy that news. I'm out. She's like, well, hang on, come back. He's like, nah, didn't want my job. You're not my daughter, or whatever he's acting
that's
like.
the
I'm
annoying
just like,
thing too, because he even says, "Oh, deep space telemetry, great cover." So he has to know that it's ultra top secret. Even he's a what is he? General Colonel?
He's a 2-star general.
He's a general, so even he doesn't have the clearance. So he should at least be going, "Oh, okay. Well, obviously, it's more than what a shuttle from NASA."
Yeah.
You'd hope.
Yeah.
But you could go into real space. What do you think of doing, Dad? Like this shit I can't even tell you about. Don't be a dick. Just be happy for me.
There's no
Your
way
old
he
mate
would know
Hammond.
that it's,
But
that
like it's
she'd
his
be going
daughter
to
telling him
space.
that, who's denying a job that she quite clearly probably wanted for 30 years.
Yeah.
And one of his oldest mates are going about that he's known General Hammond for so long, and that Hammond's the boss of that organisation, that operation.
Maybe he knew that Hammond was just going there to retire.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Yeah.
That's the only thing
Just
I
a
could
cushy
think of.
job.
Yeah, I mean, at the most, given what Jacob would know, he'd thinking, oh, maybe she's doing some black ops, or I don't think he sees her as an in the field kind of agent. Maybe he sees her as like, the tech on the headset going, oh yeah, the secret code is blah, blah,
fair enough.
to someone providing, assistance to teams.
She's
out.
sending someone else into space off the back of information
Well,
she's
not even
finding,
space,
and that's
just-
it. Yeah.
Russia.
It could just be that NORAD is underneath NORAD is like a spy section where they're watching the Russians or the Chinese or the Koreans or something like that, and she's providing intel for teams doing Black Ops incursions over there. Like I feel like the last thing Jacob would think is that she's traveling through a big giant ring into different planets.
I think it's just his arrogance that he just doesn't even think of that. He's just like, well, I got you a job in NASA, so you should take it. I don't care what you're doing at the moment.
Yeah, because
I'm helping you out.
He's like, you can go to space, and to her it's just like,
She could have said, too late, buddy. She could have totally said too late, buddy, and that wouldn't have been a big issue.
So do you care to see him again? Do you care to see them resolved? Do you think this is just... And it's a nice way to him to come up, screw up her life for a little bit, but we never see him again? Are you okay with that?
Well, I'd love to not see him again, but I'm assuming that he comes back because otherwise why would they put that in there?
Yeah.
Because it's obviously a start of something because, hey, I've got cancer, and then he leaves. So obviously there's got to be an end to that somewhere.
She's just kind of left sort of staring out the window, isn't she? Like,
Dad?
Yeah, and again, that's like we don't usually see an emotional or very feminine Carter, and that was one of the rare occurrences. Obviously, that's one of the strong men that she looks up to in her life, and obviously a reason why she's so strong. And to know that he's such a dick.
Yeah, I think in a later episode too, like she's talking to an alien, and he asks her what her name is, and she says, Samantha. He goes, well, that's pretty nice. Everyone calls me Sam. He goes, well, what does that mean? He goes, it means my father wanted a boy.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
But I tell you what, I think even the back of the DVD case didn't give two craps about Carter's line. Didn't they say, Jack was at the such and such, and the rest of the team are on Abaddon?
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
It's like, they were like, we don't care, whatever, Their dad's dying.
That's the secret on the blurb.
That's the thing they didn't want to spoil.
They're hiding the least interesting storyline of the episode,
Now, I do have a new segment I want to introduce that may or may not come back, depending on what happens in some following episodes. But I like to call it Across the Universe. That's what I'm going to call it. That's the opener.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. I was expecting
it cut out, Mitch.
You can fade it out, buddy. What are you doing?
Now, this will mean nothing to Rhys, and it may or may not mean anything to Mitch. But this episode aired in about August of 1998, and I was watching some future episodes of Stargate in the weeks we were waiting to record. And I did some math, and I actually worked out 1998. I think Brendan's probably the only one who'll get this. 1998 was the year Satita was invaded by the Wraith, and Ronan was made a runner.
Oh, sick.
So it's around about now that
That's awesome.
that Ronan was made a runner.
Whoa, hang on.
Across the universe.
Oh, outstanding, Matty. That was good. Could work on the audio fade out a bit.
Good.
I like that. That's good.
Look, I understood some of those references.
That made absolutely no sense to me.
Yeah, I may as well have been speaking Goa'uld for Rhys's benefit.
That is
cheeseburger dishwasher.
I really dig.
Hockey puck, rattlesnake, monkey, underpants.
I really
like that
dig. Sorry,
that's a Gilmore Girls reference.
I'm just gonna say it again. I really dig that kind of shit. I don't know why.
It's good, isn't it?
It makes me
I found
horny.
What doesn't though?
Look at that whiteboard. God, it's hot.
I found a website, and it's actually like a Stargate timeline. So it actually breaks everything down.
Yeah, you did.
Per year. So it's like, so a lot of those things we don't find out. And I think that's going to be what?
Wow.
The equivalent of season 9?
Oh yeah, God, that'll be everywhere.
Of SG-1 will be the payoff for what that info that I just gave. So it'll be...
Hold your breath, Rhys.
Yeah! Write that one down in your book.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've got that time.
It's time to find out if Rhys been paying attention.
Yeah.
I haven't, by the way. What do you got today for me,
Well,
big
I
boy?
got 5 questions for you, mate. Do we have a timer?
Oh, yep.
let me guess, they're all gimmies.
One job.
I just like Mitch was resting on his head,
I'm like,
just
okay.
getting
He's
really.
like, I can check
I
out
love
now.
this segment.
Yes.
I got a couple of minutes off now. This is great.
I don't have to say anything for 30 seconds.
Carry
People
our
are
asses.
dying for me to talk more.
Well, while Mitch is getting set up,
Go on.
Rhys, did you actually? We didn't get around to it. Did you actually film yourself for the first
I did.
couple of minutes? For
No.
Secrets?
Did you what? We're talking about the Secrets episode.
Oh, no, I missed that. No, I did.
Have you got
Pre-credits
got it
and a
on
little
there?
bit after
Yeah.
the credits. Hey,
Oh, did you do it on your
Do you
phone?
have it there? Like,
No.
can we have a look? Or
it's on a USB.
oh, okay. Well, we might have to chuck it up on socials.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if it's your first time, we're doing a quiz here for Rhys. He gets 5 questions, short answer questions, and 30 seconds on the clock. If you don't know the answer, you can pass.
They're all gimmies, yeah.
Pretty much all gimmies, so you should be sweet.
Classic.
All right. And your time starts at the end of the first question. What is the name of Daniel Jackson's wife?
Sha're.
Who fathered her child?
Poffus.
What was the sex of the child?
Male.
Correct. What is the name of Daniel's father-in-law?
The old man.
Yeah.
Father. Old father. Pass.
Spell Sha're.
Oh, come on!
SHARAY.
No.
Well, that's the
You didn't say spell it correctly.
that's the Ipswich spelling.
Um,
If she was born in Ipswich,
what was
that's
the name
how
of Daniel Jackson's father-in-law? Was that it?
Bunny way.
Yeah, that when it breaks down.
Kasuf, or I would have accepted good father, but you didn't say good father.
Well, he's not good, is he?
Sha're spelled SHA''RE, or I would have accepted the movie one, which is different, SHA'URI.
Shawty.
So that was 3. So this is what Daniel Jackson has to say.
Rhys, your father made you wrong.
Never gets old.
It's not.
Haven't heard that before.
You stupid son of a bitch.
Seriously though, not even the good father cares how you spell Sha're.
He changed it.
Well, he doesn't know how to spell it. Writing was forbidden on
That's right.
Abydos until Daniel
That's
showed
what they'll
up.
say.
Yeah, so why? How do you know
Sha're.
how to spell Sha're if there's no writing?
Mate, you
allowed?
got to turn the subtitles on when you
Come on,
when
mate.
you watch episodes from
How do you
now
know
on,
how
eh?
to spell Teal'c? Like,
Tilk's my boy.
Yeah. Me and him hang out on the weekend. Just ask him questions like, how do you spell your name?
just gonna write that down. TEAL.
I always mix up the
Apostrophe?
apostrophe. So
Yeah.
silly.
So
It's
weird.
weird that he calls it an apostrophe too.
Yeah, it's hard to hashtag Teal'c.
It's called an apophistry.
Oh, God, that's as good a time to get out as any. That is
I
episode
thought my
31.
Lamb Shanks joke was bad. But New heights.
That
That
was.
is-
not,
No,
not
it
as
really
bad
was.
as your, not as bad as your pistachio joke. So
It's one of the best.
That's episode 31 of Get Into Gate Secrets. We'll be back next week to talk episode number 32, Bane. Not so much a story episode like this one here, but look,
No,
we'll-
not much of a writer, the next bloke.
not a lot of story at all. In
I thought we might have got through to next week before we mentioned that. But,
Now I know who wrote it.
And a quick shout out to anyone who went to Supernova this weekend in Perth. I know that he was there last week, but our man Teal'c, Christopher Judge,
Not me.
who I know we'll be talking about next week in the episode. You'll find that out later, Rhys. But Christopher Judge, he's in Perth for Supernova. Been there all weekend, so I know today is the last day. But hey, if you've got any photos with Teal'c, send us on to Get Into Gate. We'll give you a shout out and best luck going. Go and see him in Perth. We didn't get to do it, so I don't know. Make us feel bad and guilty and jealous
I
of you.
should have brought him a picture of when I saw him last year.
Oh, did you now, mate? Oh, good.
Yeah,
Just,
the Gold Coast.
just casually throw that in there.
Yeah, the good old Gold Coast.
Oh, I didn't really know it.
Yeah, best mates.
Maybe put that up in the socials.
What's happening?
Have you met him? Have you met him?
So if you want to contact us in the meantime, tell us your own thoughts on the episode of Secrets, you can get to us on the social pages, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, just simply at Get Into Gate. You can drop us a line, getintogate@gmail.com. Individually, I'm at Mitch_Lewis on Twitter and Instagram. Maddie.
At High Pitch Matty on Instagram.
Brendan.
I'm Brendan Gibson on Twitter and Instagram.
And Rhys.
I'm at the Flying Gibson.
What happened to the real Brendan something or other?
The real Slim Shady was taken.
So what?
I thought you were the
Did you
real-
change? What's?
I was the Brendan Gibson, and I decided to get on the Twitter sphere. And
was taken.
no, it wasn't actually taken. I just
You
ran out of characters on Brendan at the Brendan Gibso.
Okay.
Right.
So,
So what are
filthy.
you now? I am.
I'm.
So yeah, right.
If it was I
am.
I'm. No,
Oh,
I'm.
I'm
Am
Brendan-
Iron Man. God, that was a
Well,
good
it's
show.
based off I Am Christopher Judge. Chris Judge. That's his Twitter. Anyway, that's boring. Good story.
Rhys, spell Chris Judge.
Yeah.
For a bonus point. And Rhys, where are you at?
It's changed.
Or have you already said
That's
it?
what
I
happened.
think I've said it, but here, have it again at the Flying Gibson.
Nah, it sounds pretty fresh. That's good. Whew! Okay, we've had a couple of weeks off. The cobwebs are out. We'll be back next week. Episode 32, Bane. We'll see you then.
GetIntoGeek.com.